Welcome back, everyone. World Baseball News for the week of May 1st. Another action-packed week in the baseball world last week. A battle for first place in Korea, another new record in Taiwan, first full week of the regular season in Mexico, and they got a little visit from a couple major league teams. We'll go over last week's results in those countries, plus Japan, Cuba, and Europe. But first, there was a major announcement from baseball's biggest winter tournament. Teams for the 2024 Caribbean Series were announced last week, with 6 teams participating next year, down from 8 this year. Not the teams you might expect either. Of course, permanent members Mexico, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Venezuela are there. That's no surprise. Here are the other 2. Nicaragua will make its long-awaited Caribbean Series debut in next year's edition. The LBPN is the strongest league in the Caribbean region never to get an invite to the event. This one was long overdue, so that's good news. Curacao is the other one. They appeared in this year's edition for the first time. Many of us thought it was just a one-time thing, but they'll be back again next year. Not so surprising that Curacao is back, just surprising that they're one of only 6 teams. If we're only inviting 6 countries, you wouldn't expect Curacao to be one of them. That means there are some surprise omissions. Panama, the country that was a last-minute host for the 2019 series, shocked the world when they won it all that year, and has been invited every year since, will not be included in the 2024 edition. Colombia, a last-minute replacement for Cuba in 2020, and made its own Cinderella run to the title in 2022, will not be there next year. Cuba, not really surprising. They came back to the series this year when it was in Venezuela. Didn't think it was likely they'd send their team to Miami for next year's tournament. Not exactly sure why Panama and Colombia were left out. The reason I keep hearing is that there was a large fee that these leagues have to pay to receive an invitation, and some weren't willing to pay. Another reason may be that they only have one venue for the 2024 series, so 6 teams is the most they can possibly work with. So it's great to finally have the champion from Nicaragua participate, but the leagues we always compare the Nicaraguan league to are the ones in Panama and Colombia, and now those 2 won't be represented. Should be a good tournament, but the news was a little disappointing. In Japan, the season marches on. Some great pitching performances last week, a few walk-offs, and teams changing places in the standings every day. Trevor Bauer will make his highly anticipated debut with the Yokohama DNA Baystars on Wednesday, May 3rd in a home game versus the Hiroshima Carp. The 2020 Cy Young winner's been pitching in the minors and made his last start on Friday, so he'll be going in on just 4 days rest. Now to last week's results. Tuesday, rain from Kansai to Kyushu caused half the games to be called off. In Central League's only game, the first-place Baystars got past the Swallows 5-3. In Pacific League, Buffaloes came back to beat the Fighters 8-7, and the Lions beat the Marines 5-3. Outfielder Taiki Sekine hit an inside-the-park home run, the first Baystars hitter to do it in 9 years. Jarrell Cotton made his NPB debut with the Buffaloes, striking out 9 batters in relief, second most in all-time NPB history. That came after starting pitcher Hiroya Miyagi had the worst start of his young career. Buffaloes catcher Tomoya Mori had 3 hits, 2 home runs, and 4 batted in. Wednesday, all 12 teams in action. Baystars beat the Swallows again 5-2, Giants 8-4 over the Tigers, Dragons 6-3 over the Carp, Fighters topped the Buffaloes 6-3. All the Buffaloes' scoring came on 3 consecutive solo home runs. Marines 2-1 over the Lions, and Hawks 4-2 over the Eagles. Baystars catcher Yasutaka Tobashira got on base 3 times and hit a 3-run homer. Dragons leadoff hitter Yuki Okabayashi reached base 4 times and drove in 2. Kazuya Ojima got the win for the Marines, 7 innings, 1 run, and 6 strikeouts. Thursday, Baystars walked it off in the 10th for a 7-6 win and a 3-game sweep. Tigers destroyed the Giants 15-0. They out-hit the Giants 19-2. Carp walked it off in the 12th to beat the Dragons 3-2, and the Hawks took care of the Eagles 5-3. Kota Inoue batted in 4 runs on 3 hits for the Tigers. Masashi Ito threw a complete game shutout, 8 strikeouts, only 2 hits, and no walks. Aren Kuri tossed 7 scoreless with 6 Ks and a no decision. And third baseman Ryoya Kurihara broke a scoreless tie with a grand slam for the Hawks. Friday, new series for all. Giants held on to beat the Carp 5-4. Swallows remained winless for the week, shut out by the Tigers 4-0. Baystars shut out the Dragons 1-0. Hawks scored 3 in the 10th to get past the Fighters 6-3. Lions blanked the Eagles 4-0. And the Marines topped the Buffaloes 4-3 in 10 innings. Giant shortstop Hayato Sakamoto had been struggling at the plate, but on Friday he had 3 hits, 2 of them home runs, and 4 RBI. Shota Imanaga got his second win in his second start, 7 scoreless, 12 strikeouts, 4 hits, and 1 walk. He starts the season with 15 scoreless innings. Yuki Yanagita hit the 3-run blast in the 10th to put the Hawks ahead. He had 4 hits and 4 batted in for the day. Lions pitcher Tatsuya Imai improved to 3-0. He had a no-hitter through 6 when he was pulled, but issued 7 walks. Roki Sasaki struck out 8 batters in 7 innings while allowing 3, the first 3 runs he's allowed in 4 starts this year. The highlight, though, was his 102.5-mile-an-hour fastball, tying Shohei Ohtani's record for fastest pitch by a Japanese pitcher. Saturday, Giants walked it off to beat the Carp again 4-3. Struggles continued for the Swallows. They were beaten by the Tigers 7-0. Baystars continued to roll 7-4 over the Dragons. Fighters got even with the Hawks 3-1. Eagles over Lions 8-2, handing Kona Takahashi his first loss of the season. And Yoshinobu Yamamoto and the Buffaloes took care of the Marines 3-2. Giants first baseman Sho Nakata hit the walk-off 2-run blast in the 9th, his 3rd hit of the day and his league-leading 6th home run of the season. 24-year-old Tigers pitcher Shoki Murakami tossed 8 scoreless with 7 Ks, only 2 hits and 1 walk allowed. He has 25 scoreless innings to start the season. Meanwhile, Teruaki Sato homered twice and drove in 4 runs. Fighters pitcher Naoyuki Uwasawa, 7 innings, 1 run, 10 strikeouts, to improve to 3-1. Sunday, Carp avoided the sweep 11-4 over the Giants. Swallows got their only win of the week 4-2 over the Tigers. Baystars capped off a perfect week with a 2-0 shutout over the Dragons. Fighters 5-1 to win their series over the Hawks. Eagles beat the Lions 7-6 in 10 innings. And the Buffaloes walked it off in the 11th for a 4-3 win over the Marines to move into a first-place tie. Carp first baseman Ryan McBroom had 3 hits, one of them a 3-run homer. Baystars pitcher Katsuki Azuma went the distance, 9 innings, no runs, no walks, 4 hits, and 6 strikeouts. Central League standings, Baystars grew their lead from half a game last week to 3 games today after going 6-0 last week. At 16-7, they've got the best record in NPB. Tigers are 3 games behind. Carp are hanging in there at 12-12, 4.5 back. Swallows are 4th after going 1-5 for the week. Giants are a half game behind the Swallows. They are looking better lately. And the Dragons are looking like the Dragons. 0-4 last week, now all alone at the bottom. In Pacific League, Buffaloes and Marines share the top spot at 14-10. Hawks and Lions are next, both just 1 game back. Same teams in the top 4 every week, but always in a different order. Eagles 5th and the Fighters last. Those 2 teams have the lowest team batting and the highest team ERA. This week in NPB, Tuesday to Thursday, Swallows at Giants, Carp at Baystars, Dragons at Tigers, Marines at Eagles, Fighters at Lions, and Buffaloes at Hawks. Wednesday and Thursday are mostly day games due to the Golden Week holiday. On the weekend, Baystars at Swallows, Giants at Dragons, Tigers at Carp, Eagles at Fighters, Hawks at Marines, and Lions at Buffaloes. In Korea, with the first month of the season behind us, we're still in search of a consistent first-place team. Going into last week, the Bears, Giants, and Dinos were all 1 good series away from capturing the top spot. That was being occupied by the Landers and Twins, and those 2 teams were meeting for a 3-game set during the week. Here is what happened. Tuesday, a couple games were rained out. Heroes blanked the Wiz 1-0. Dinos shut out the Tigers 6-0. And the battle for the top of the standings, Game 1 went to the Twins 5-4. Another gem for Heroes ace Ujin An. 7 scoreless, 7 Ks, 1 hit, and 1 walk. 1 for Eric Fetty, too. 7 scoreless, 8 strikeouts, 3 hits, and no walks. Shortstop Ji Hwan-oh had 3 hits, a walk, and 3 batted in, including the walk-off double in the 9th for the Twins. Wednesday, no more rain. Giants over Eagles 8-1. Heroes pounded the Wiz 13-2. Tigers 6-0 over the Dinos, reversing Tuesday's result. Lions blanked the Bears 1-0, and the Landers evened things up with the Twins 5-3. ADONIS MEDINA picked up his first KBO win, tossing 8 shutout innings with 6 strikeouts for the Tigers. Thursday, Giants shut out the Eagles 3-0. Heroes over the Wiz 3-1. Tigers blanked the Dinos for the 2nd day in a row 5-0 to take the series. Lions came back to beat the Bears 7-6, and the rubber match went to the Twins 6-3 over the Landers to keep the top spot. Giants pitcher Gyun An-na improved to 4-0 for the season. He tossed 8 scoreless with 7 Ks, 4 hits, and no walks. Big day at the plate for Lions outfielder Jose Perella. 4 hits, a double, a home run, 3 runs scored, and 2 batted in. Friday, Tigers over Twins 4-3 in 11 innings. Dinos 6-4 over the Eagles. Landers 4-1 over the Bears. Wild one between the Lions and Wiz. Lions built an 8-0 lead. Wiz scored 8 in the bottom of the 8th. In the 10th, Lions outscored the Wiz 2-1 for a 10-9 win. And the Giants won their 7th in a row 5-2 over the Heroes. 20-year-old shortstop Ju-Won Kim hit a grand slam to lead the way for the Dinos. DH Min-ho Kang was the top hitter for the Lions. 4 hits and 3 batted in. Saturday, Tigers over Twins again 6-3. Dinos held on to top the Eagles 3-2. Landers won big over the Bears 10-4. Lions got past the Wiz 3-2. And the Heroes-Giants game was rained out. Sean Anderson picked up his third win of the season with 6 shutout innings and 7 strikeouts for the Tigers. Sunday, Tigers beat up the Twins 12-8 for an unexpected sweep. Dinos 4-1 over the Eagles for the sweep. Bears 2-0 over the Landers to avoid a sweep. Lions 1-0 over the Wiz in 10 innings for a hard-fought sweep, all 3 games by 1 run, 2 of them in extra innings. And the Giants won their 8th in a row, 5-3 over the Heroes. Tigers outfielder Socrates Brito drove in 4 runs on a 3-run homer and an RBI double. Another great performance from Eric Fetty, 7 innings, no runs, 1 hit, 2 walks, and 11 strikeouts. For the year, he's made 6 starts, 38 innings, 48 strikeouts, only 2 earned runs for an ERA of 0.47. Bears pitcher Ben Guac was impressive as well. 6 innings, 7 Ks, no walks, and only 2 hits allowed, as he lowered his season ERA to 0.88. Wiz pitcher Songbek threw 7 shutout innings with 8 strikeouts and only 4 hits. His ERA is now 0.53, looking like a pitcher's year in the KBO. KBO standings, look who's at the top. The Lotte Giants, a team that hasn't even made the playoffs in years. They are 14-8, riding an 8-game win streak. Landers are 15-9. Twins were in first going into the weekend, but now trail by 1 game after getting swept. Dinos are only 2 games out. Tigers and Bears, both 12-11, are 2.5 games out of first. Lions are 3 back. Heroes 4. Everyone's looking good except the last 2. Wiz have lost 9 in a row. Not losing badly, but they just keep losing. Eagles have lost 5 in a row and are 2 games behind the Wiz. This week in the KBO, Tuesday to Thursday, Eagles at Bears, Wiz at Landers, Twins at Dinos, Giants at Tigers, and Heroes at Lions. On the weekend, Tigers at Dinos, Wiz at Eagles, Twins vs. Bears, a home series for both teams. Landers at Heroes and Lions at Giants. Friday's a holiday, so all games are being played in the afternoon. Over to Taiwan. We went into last week with the Uni Lions having just taken over as the new number 1, but the Monkeys, Guardians, and Dragons were all within a game. We'll see what happened, but first, another new record. Rakuten Monkeys reliever Yushun Chen set 2 new CPBL career records early last week with his 499th relief appearance and hold number 119. He made his 500th appearance on Friday. He's in his 10th CPBL season, all with the Monkeys, has 119 career saves to match the number of holds. At 33 years old, he should have plenty of years left to add to that record. 1 game on Monday, Dragons over the Guardians 7-4. Tuesday, Lions over the Dragons 7-3. Logan Ondruzek struck out 10 batters in 6 scoreless innings for the win. Monkeys beat the Guardians 3-1. K.E. Chen earned the win with 6 1/3 innings, 1 run, and 5 Ks. Wednesday, Dragons got even with the Lions 2-1. Brian Woodall was the winning pitcher with 6 1/3 shutout innings, and the brothers won big over the Monkeys 15-6. Thursday, Dragons kept the Guardians winless for the week, winning 9-2. Monkeys topped the brothers 6-4. First baseman Yu Xianchu homered twice, driving in 4. Friday, Guardians snapped their losing skid 3-1 over the Lions. Tyler Epler got his first CPBL win, tossing 7 2/3 while allowing only 1. And the Monkeys took the series with a 7-4 win over the brothers. Saturday, Lions over Guardians 2-1. Chichie Su had 3 hits for the Lions. Brothers ended their week with a 7-4 win over the Dragons. Catcher Francisco Peña homered and doubled to bat in 3. Sunday, Lions dominated, winning 7-0 and out-hitting the Guardians 16-2. Mario Sanchez made his CPBL debut. 7 scoreless, 2 hits, no walks, 5 Ks. Monkeys blew past the Dragons 8-1. Outfielder Tan Chiu was a home run shy of the cycle, with 4 batted in. CPBL standings, Monkeys hang on to the lead. They are 11-7 and bring a 3-game win streak into the new week. Lions 11-8 are half a game back. Dragons 1.5 out. Brothers and Guardians are last, but only 4 games away from the top spot. Monkeys start the week with 3 games at home, hosting the Guardians on Tuesday and Wednesday, and the Brothers on Thursday. Lions start the week with 4 games at home. They get the Brothers on Tuesday and the Dragons from Wednesday to Friday. Over to Mexico, all attention was focused on the capital city where the MLB Mexico Series was taking place, but it was also the first full week of the LMB regular season. Here's how it's looking now. In the north, Tecolotes dos Laredos are first at 6-2. They went 5-1 last week with a series win over Guadalajara and a sweep of Aguascalientes. Sultanes de Monterrey are next at 6-3. They swept Diablos Rojos early last week, all 3 games by 1 run. Then they won their weekend series with Guadalajara. Third place, Generales Durango at 5-3. Three teams are 5-4, Laguna, Monclova, and Saltillo. Tijuana and Guadalajara are 4-5, and Aguascalientes are last at 2-7. In the south, Olmecas de Tabasco and Pericos de Puebla lead the way at 6-3. Tabasco won both of their series over Bravos de Leon and Veracruz. Puebla got swept by Quintana Roo early last week, but then turned around and swept Yucatan on the weekend. Third place shared by Veracruz and Oaxaca, both 5-4, and those two are meeting this week, Tuesday to Thursday. Rojos, Yucatan, and Quintana Roo all 4-5. Leon and Campeche at the bottom at 2-7. Cuban National Series. Most teams reached the 30-game mark last week. 45 games to go in the regular season. And the new leader this week is Santiago at 19-11. They went 4-0 last week, all 4 wins over Villa Clara. Pinar del Rio is only a half game out at 18-11. They won 3 out of 4 from Ciego de Avila. Third place, Artemisa, 1 game out at 18-12. Las Tunas, Matanzas, and Isla Juventud are all 2 games back. Ciego de Avila, 3 games back. Mayabeque and Sancti Spiritus at an even 15-15, 4 games out. And that's the cutoff for the playoff race. Villa Clara and Holguin are a half game out in the playoff hunt. Villa Clara has lost their last 4. Holguin has won their last 4. Camagüey, 2 games out of the playoff spot. Guantanamo has fallen hard after a strong start. They are half a game behind Camagüey. 3 teams tied for last, defending champions Granma, Cienfuegos, and traditional powerhouse Industriales. Couple series to keep an eye on this week. Tuesday to Thursday will be 3rd place Artemisa taking on 7th place Sancti Spiritus, and the other 7th place team Mayabeque going up against 4th place Matanzas. One player I'd like to highlight, Urispel Gracial, who spent the last 5 years with the Southbank Hawks, is now back in Cuba with his old team Matanzas, and he's having a great season. Leads the league in batting with a .492 average and a .769 slugging. 3rd in on-base percentage at .544. Not too big of a surprise, he was still a good hitter in NPB last year. .271 average, .339 on-base percentage in 99 games. But the 37-year-old was let go after last season. Czech Baseball Extraliga. Unlike most leagues of the world, there's a sense of urgency in the Czech League. Only 2 weeks remain in the regular season. The 8 teams will be reduced to 6, and the first stage of the postseason begins. Hrosy Brno is at the top with a record of 9-3. They won 2 out of 3 from 2nd place Eagles Praha over the weekend. That included a 2-hit complete game shutout thrown by Hrosy pitcher Tomas Ondra. Eagles are 9-6. Hluboka and Trebek are 1 game over 500, tied for 4th, after Trebek beat Hluboka 2 out of 3 times last week. Aros and Drasi, 2 teams that met in the Czech series just 2 years ago, are hanging on to the last 2 postseason spots for now. They played each other over the weekend, with Aros winning the series. Tempo Praha and Technica Brno are in the relegation spots, both teams 5-9, trailing Drasi by 1 and Aros by 1.5. Technica made it a tie by taking the series with Tempo over the weekend. This week, Drasi and Aros have got tough assignments. Drasi takes on number 1 Hrosy, while Aros will meet number 2 Eagles. Then there's Hluboka versus Tempo and Trebek versus Technica. Baseball Bundesliga in Germany. Last weekend there was a big showdown in the south as the last 2 unbeaten teams were meeting for a 2-game series. But first, let's look in the north. Bonn leads the north at 6-2. They did not play over the weekend. Their series with Doran will be played today as a doubleheader. Berlin and Hamburg are both 1 game over 500. They met on Sunday with Berlin winning 4-2. They'll meet one more time today to break that tie for 2nd. Paderborn is 4-4 after a split series with Cologne. Doran and Cologne occupy the last 2 spots. This weekend we'll see a rematch of last year's championship series between the Bonn Capitals and the Paderborn Untouchables. Also Berlin versus Cologne and Hamburg versus Doran. In the south, Heidenheim stands alone after a 2-game sweep of previously undefeated Regensburg by the scores of 5-2 and 3-2. They are 5-0 now. Stuttgart had the week off. They are 2nd at 5-1. Regensburg 6-2. Mainz is 4-2 after a sweep of Hunstetten. The bottom 2, Haar and Mannheim, split their series. First win of the season for Mannheim. This weekend, a battle for 2nd between Regensburg and Stuttgart. Heidenheim takes on Hunstetten. Haar versus Mainz, and Mannheim has the week off. Italian Baseball League, just a few weeks into the season, and here is how they look. San Marino and Macerata lead Group A with records of 6-0. Those 2 will meet next weekend to see who's the top team in the group. Group B, Parma is alone at the top at 6-0. They handed 2nd place Ronchi their first 2 losses of the season last week by the scores of 9-1 and 3-1. Group C, Unipolsai Fortitudo Bologna lost for the first time last week, losing to 5th place CM on Saturday. They're still at the top with a record of 5-1, followed by Orta Knights at 4-2. Those two losses were against Bologna on opening weekend. Group D, BSC Grosseto has not lost yet. They are leading with a record of 4-0. Nettuno lost for the first time last week when they split a series with Grosseto. Group E, Modena and Torino met over the weekend. Torino won the first game 1-0. Modena took the second one 9-0. Modena sits at the top now at 5-1. Honkbal Hoofdklasse in the Netherlands. Big series this week between the top two teams in the standings. Neptune is still undefeated but suffered their first non-win of the season last week. They tied with Oosterhout Twins but won the other two games. HCAW swept 3 from RCH Penguins. They are also undefeated at 9-0. And those two will face off this week in their first meeting since last year's Holland Series. Should be a good one. Amsterdam Pirates are third at 8-4 after destroying Amersfoort by the scores of 12-2, 21-0, and 10-0. Twins are now 4-4, but they can take pride in tying Neptunus. Hoofddorp Pioneers are in 5th. They split a series with UVV. 1 win, 1 loss, 1 tie. RCH and Amersfoort are 3-9. UVV and DSS are the last two. This week, the big one between HCAW and Neptunus, as I already mentioned. RCH versus Hoofddorp, Twins versus Amersfoort, UVV versus DSS, and Amsterdam has the week off. And that's all for this one. Until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya.